Welcome to episode 14 of In His Bag. Rather interesting episode, so let's get straight into it. Cue the intro music.
Tedeschi dentro sotto per Dybala, attenzione, va la gioia, Dybala! Oh God! Stokely down the sideline! Can they catch him? Stokely! Wow!
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang!
So, like I said, rather interesting episode. I will say in advance, I apologize for the cough. I don't know what happens, but it feels like my body every day past like 9 p.m. just realizes, oh, it's time to start coughing. So I will be coughing a lot throughout this episode. But other than that, yeah, should be a pretty interesting episode. So let's start things off right out the gate. Let's get to the news. So we'll start off with the NFL. A lot of NFL news honestly happened this week. And I'm kind of going to speed run through a lot of it because it was a lot of minor stuff, a lot of low key stuff that wasn't too important. But first thing that happened, the Texans have agreed to a 3-year extension with Aziz Al-Shaair. He was a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. He is honestly one of the quarterbacks of the Texans defense, a guy that really embraces that physical mindset that the Texans love to play with. I know he has dealt with some suspension issues, some things like that in the past because of hits, because of his actions on the field, getting in fights, stuff like that. But this guy is really the leader of the Texans team, someone that holds it down for them and leads them in the middle of the field. I know they're talented everywhere else. Stingley, Daniil Hunter, Will Anderson, all that different stuff. But I feel like Al-Shaair is really the guy in the middle of the field that quarterbacks their team and is really the spokesperson for DeMeco Ryans. So I really like this deal for them. A very solid piece that allows them to kind of keep building and just maintain that top tier defense that they've had for past couple seasons now at this point. And then moving on, we will stay in Texas, but we'll go to Dallas now. George Pickens has signed his franchise tag with the Cowboys. So he's going to be with them this year. Presumably, they'll sign him to some sort of long-term extension. Hopefully, they're negotiating that right now and they don't pull a Dak Prescott and sign him the literal day that the season starts, because that would just be ridiculous and Jerry Jones will end up overpaying again. But he'll probably end up overpaying anyways, considering the timing. Jackson Smith-Njigba already got his extension. Puka Nacua is also up for an extension at some point as well. So if Puka gets done before Pickens, Jerry might end up overpaying by a lot, but that's kind of the MO at this point. And I'm kind of going into this with the assumption that they do re-sign Pickens, because having the combination of CD and Pickens is something that you really can't pass up on. You need a good offense because the defense isn't doing it for you. You don't have a good enough squad there to kind of balance out having a mediocre offense. And we saw what the offense was able to do last year with Pickens, who was arguably, fourth best receiver in the league. So you really need him there to keep the offense afloat and keep them good enough to compete. And then we go over to the AFC now. Calais Campbell is signing a 1-year deal to return to the Ravens. It'll be his 19th season in the NFL, and the dude is 40 years old. I feel like a lot of people don't really realize how old he is. People talk about, oh, Rodgers, Brady, these dudes are old. This is a D tackle, D end in his 19th season. I think it's now third most for a defensive lineman. There's another one with 19, another player with 20. Their names are slipping my mind right now, but Calais Campbell, 40 years old, Walter Payton Man of the Year. Honestly, I like this move. Gives them some extra added pass rush depth. They did sign Trey Hendrickson, which was a good move there, and it just gives them a boost for a pass rush that was honestly kind of lackluster last year. Underwhelming in general. I thought that they were going to be a lot better than they were. So bringing in a player that Jesse Minter can boost up. He's proven that he does have the ability to kind of elevate players on the roster, and he'll be able to do that with a guy who he has talent. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler. He's a massive individual. So just bringing in a guy like that Jesse Minter can elevate is a real positive for the Ravens. After that, we'll head to the Steelers, and Steelers have been in the news kind of for the good and the bad. First of all, they placed an unrestricted free agency tender on Aaron Rodgers because the dude has not said a word on whether he's coming back this season. And basically, unrestricted free agency tender means that he can accept a 10% raise of last year's salary. But there is a condition that Rodgers would only be able to sign with the Steelers once training camp begins. And I think training camp begins in, I want to say, like a month, maybe 2. So time's ticking on Aaron Rodgers here. If they don't have him, and also the tender means that if he signs with another team, the Steelers get a comp pick of some sort. So yeah, but this is kind of a weird spot for Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. I don't know what exactly Rodgers is going to do. He kind of did the same thing last year where you didn't really know whether he was coming back or not, which wasn't great. But then he did, and didn't exactly play the greatest football of his career. Again, I think he's like 40 at this point. But even if he doesn't come back, I'm not exactly thrilled about the quarterback options that the Steelers do have. They drafted Drew Aller in, I think, the 3rd round. Big Ben wasn't exactly thrilled about that move. Said that Aller didn't really jump off the page or something along those lines. You have Will Howard there too, Ohio State quarterback drafted last year. I don't remember what round. I think maybe the 3rd as well. But not exactly a quarterback room that inspires confidence. So I think the Steelers were kind of tired of waiting to see what Rodgers is going to do. But for me, the whole marriage of Rodgers and the Steelers was something that was bound to fail. I didn't think it was a smart move in the first place for them to bring in Rodgers. I just think that it was their attempt during the Tomlin era to kind of just stay relevant, which I feel like is the Steelers' MO. I feel like they prioritize more staying relevant, staying around, competency, like 500, as they have been for the past, I think, like 5-6 seasons. So I'm not a huge fan of this, but something needs to happen with Rodgers. And then continuing on with the Steelers, DK Metcalf won't face criminal charges from that altercation with the fan at Ford Field last year against the Lions. Uh, During that altercation, I believe he punched a fan. He was suspended for final 2 games of the season, I believe, and then came back in the Steelers playoff game, even though they did lose. But Steelers in the news for kind of the wrong reasons. DK Metcalf also was basically the Steelers' only receiving option last year. They brought in Michael Pittman this year, which is a good thing. But DK hasn't exactly shown that he's I don't want to say go-to guy, but he's a guy that you can really rely on to be someone that could lead your team. Yeah, he did have a couple 1,000-yard seasons with the Seahawks to start off his career. But even then, those didn't truly inspire any confidence in me as a spectator. And then this is kind of Steelers related, but former Steeler and Bears wide receiver Chase Claypool is at Packers rookie minicamp for a tryout. This is interesting because Chase Claypool last played in an NFL game in 2023 with the Dolphins. I think he was on the Bills in 2024, but he tore a ligament in one of his toes, I believe. And then it was either during training camp or during preseason, but then he was released and never played another snap. He was originally drafted by the Steelers, and he was supposed to be this big wide receiver out of Notre Dame that a lot of people thought could kind of come in, make a big impact for them, and that never really materialized. He was kind of underwhelming over the course of his career, let down a lot of people. I thought that he was going to be good. He turned out to be horrendous. So I don't know what exactly Green Bay is doing with their wide receiver room. Yeah, they did have interest in him before he kind of fell off the face of the earth, but I'm confused. You just extended Jaden Reed. Hope maybe you're working on an extension with Christian Watson after he led the league in reception over his final 10 games of the season. But you let Romeo Doubs walk. You traded Dontavian Wicks. So you kind of just lost 2 of your top 3 guys, I'd call that. So you're kind of relying on Jaden Reed and Christian Watson, also Matthew Golden to make another leap. So you're kind of relying on, I don't want to say unproven things, but kind of unproven prospects. I don't think this is the smartest thing in the world for the Packers to do. But then again, it's Chase Claypool. If nothing happens, you're not that's not really going to impact you. You're kind of just giving him a shot, and maybe he turns out to be something. And if he doesn't, didn't really matter anyways. He wasn't in the league. You're not really missing out on some amazing guy. And then final piece of Steelers news. Pardon me. Final piece of Steelers news. They're declining the 5th-year option for Broderick Jones. And this is very, very interesting. He's coming off of neck surgery, and he's going to be a free agent in 2027. And he suffered a neck injury, though. So that cost him a large part of the season. But he was playing well pre-injury. He had 38 career starts. However, the Steelers didn't exactly show that much faith in him, especially when you consider the fact that in the first round, they draft they drafted Max Ian-Ancor, the tackle from Arizona, Arizona State, to potentially be Broderick Jones's replacement. Ian-Ancor is a really raw prospect, a lot of talent. He started playing football when he was in JUCO, but really raw, a lot of talent there. So maybe they drafted him to be Broderick Jones's replacement. So it's interesting there. It definitely seems like things are moving in that direction, but also they could be trying to work out an extension, maybe. But I don't think so because a lot of teams that do try to work out an extension, they sign that 5th-year option just to have it in their back pocket in case the extension talks don't work this season. They can still do it and continue going into next season knowing that they have their player under contract. So I think that it's an interesting move for them. The Steelers are just in a weird spot right now. Like I mentioned, they have the Aaron Jones unrestricted free agency tender. DK Metcalf is kind of a nutcase. You are potentially moving on from Broderick Jones, who was, pardon me, who was a starter for you. 38 games started for you, which is what, 3 seasons? If my math is adding up. Yeah, roughly 3 seasons for you. And your former wide receiver is now trying out with the Packers. So a lot of weird stuff is happening for the Steelers. Then another 5th-year option that was not picked up, Anthony Richardson. His 5th-year option was not picked up by the Colts. It was announced, and this was kind of expected. Anthony Richardson is probably one of the biggest busts in recent memory, aside from Zach Wilson. Dude has been playing horribly, and he requested a trade a while ago that the Colts granted him permission to seek a trade, but no trade ever happened. Apparently, no team wants him, and that was that was before free agency. That was before the start of the new league year, which was a while ago at this point. So, yeah, I think Anthony Richardson might be on his way out of the league at this point. The way things are going might kind of follow a Chase Claypool type thing where this dude just played himself out of the league. He's been playing horribly. So I think that it might be very, very bad for them. I hate to see it because I hate to see people go what it does, especially these high profile guys, but that's kind of the reality of the NFL. Like if you look at the average NFL career, it's only like 4 or 5 years max, that like rookie contract. So I think Anthony Richardson might be gone. I think the Colts definitely overshot on his potential. He started like 12 games in college and that's it. And he has freak athleticism, but that never really materialized into anything else. There was a bunch of different stuff, like he took himself out of a game, a bunch of different stuff. He's very turnover prone, very inaccurate as well. Freak injuries too. Fractured his orbital with like a resistance band in like pregame or something. So a lot of weird stuff surrounding Anthony Richardson. And then final piece of football news. You kind of saw this earlier when I messed up my screen there. But Justin Simmons has announced his retirement after 9 seasons in the NFL. He was a 4-time All-Pro safety. Sorry. I think he most recently actively played with the Falcons, but he was most known for his time with the Broncos. I remember watching this dude. I remember watching him and thinking that him and Jesse Bates were the best safeties in the world, dude. I had such a fun time watching him in Denver. I remember watching the NFL 100 and just watching his, and I'd be like, yo, this dude is elite. But he's decided to retire. Wish him all the best. Legendary career. It sucks that he wasn't really able to come away with any real hardware because before his time, the Broncos won the Super Bowl. So, absolutely legendary career. Loved watching him play. Wish him nothing but the best. And then we get into a interesting tad bit of soccer. Memo Ochoa is playing in his 6th World Cup. It's been confirmed. He'll make the squad and he'll retire from soccer and after the tournament. But legendary career, dude. I remember watching him. He first came up on my radar, I think, in like 2014, which was already 3 World Cups ago. And like, this dude is an absolute legend. I remember all my Mexican friends, they're telling me, yeah, 75% of the world is covered by water. Other 25% is covered by Memo Ochoa. Like, this dude is an absolute legend. I remember there was, like, when it was announced that what was supposed to be the starting goalie for Mexico got injured, the amount of buzz around the fact that Memo Ochoa could come back and represent Mexico in his 6th World Cup was insane. And now the fact that it's confirmed, dude, there's a reason I love soccer so much. There's a reason my main topic today is about soccer. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. If you didn't read the main topic or even the title of the episode, what the heck are we doing here? But this is one of the reasons I love soccer, dude. Stories like this, just absolute legends. A dude that seemingly comes out of hibernation every 4 years to suit up for Mexico, has some of the most ridiculous saves you've ever seen, and then just vanishes back into Liga MX, which is the Mexican league for those of you that don't know, is just insane. And I am all here for it, dude. I love it. And then get on to basketball news before we get into NBA playoffs. John Wall has become the president of basketball operations at Howard. He's returning to DC, where he spent, as we all know, the majority of his career with the Washington Wizards before he went elsewhere. But he is now the president of basketball operations. I love this move for him. Gets to stay in DC. A big name going to an HBCU is something that I personally love to see. I think that HBCUs are a great thing. I know a lot of people a lot of my friends consider going to HBCUs in the first place. Know people that go to HBCUs. So it's just a great way to just bring more visibility to them because I feel like a lot of people don't know them that much. They're like, oh yeah, historically black and colored universities, cool, whatever, who cares? No, they're big universities. They have a major impact in the world that we know today. Like, for those that don't know and you're not really tuned in, Shannon Sharp, who is one of the biggest media personalities right now, went to an HBCU. Stephen A. Smith, I believe, also went to an HBCU, one of the biggest sport personalities in the world. So HBCUs produce a lot of talent and a lot of people that make a major impact on the world today. And I feel like John Wall going there is bringing more attention, which is very much needed. And I feel like also HBCU, this might be able to bring not only more eyes to HBCU, but potentially help HBCU players go back to where they belong, which is that sounds wild. But go back to professional leagues. Like, HBCUs used to be this pipeline to the NFL, to the NBA, but that kind of fell off for I don't really know why. It's kind of like now a lot of players from HBCUs don't end up going to like the NFL and NBA, places like that. And Don't ask me why. I don't have a good reason for it, but I feel like if you bring in big names like this that really can make an impact, I feel like the NBA scouts, NFL scouts might see the talent there and then be able to kind of take see that there is talent and more willingly scout HBCUs, which is something that I feel like they haven't done a lot, especially in the 21st century. But that was all the main news. Now we're on to the playoffs. So since last week, the Thunder swept the Suns 4-0. Thunder dominant, wire to wire, kind of expected. Now they're waiting for the winner of the Lakers-Rockets series, which they are playing Game 6 right now. Rockets were down 3-0. They battled back. Now it is 3-2. Lakers are currently up as well by 19 points at the time of this recording, 56-37. So if they win that, they'll go on to play the Thunder in the next round on Tuesday, May 5th. Sorry for all the coughing and sneezing. I apologize again for that. Not exactly a pleasant audio experience there, but yeah, they'll go on to play the Thunder on May 5th. And then on the other side of the Western Conference, the Timberwolves took care of the Nuggets. And what I mean took care of them, like improbably took care of them, because in Game 6, they didn't have Ayo Dosunmu, who had just dropped, I think it was 41 points, like 1 or 2 games before. You don't have Dante DiVincenzo anymore. That he tore his Achilles. You didn't have Anthony Edwards. He has a bone bruise in his left knee and also hyperextended it. So those are like your 3 starting guards gone. You had to rely on Mike Conley, who bounced around the league during free agency, was just sent in every direction. You had to rely on Terrence Shannon Jr. for minutes, which isn't exactly inspiring, but you were able to shut down, like, Jaden McDaniels was kind of right. He played great in this. He shut down Jamal Murray. Playoff Jamal Murray was non-existent in this series, a series that they really needed him to be, and so they shut him down. Nikola Jokic is actually showing passion in basketball, which is breaking news. He's showing he cares about something other than his horses. But when I say that, we'll give some context. He had a couple times where he's getting heated with Timberwolves players for kind of breaking the unwritten rule, scoring in like dead time, like the last 5 seconds of the game, and doing some other stuff, and he got heated about that. And then the Spurs beat the Trailblazers 4-1. They kind of wrapped it up. Should have been a sweep, but again, Wemby missed a game, so that gave the Blazers a game. Nevertheless, Spurs took care of business. They're going in as a 14.5-point favorite against the Timberwolves. And I'll give a semi-preview of that series. It'll be on Monday, but I think that 2 major things in that series. One, I mentioned the guard health for Minnesota. Again, they didn't have Ayo or Dante in Game 6, so how much that guard health is going to impact them, because the way I see it right now, the only one that's going to be back potentially is Ayo, because it wasn't a long-term injury. It was just calf soreness. But Anthony Edwards is going to miss the start of the series. And also, Dante DiVincenzo is out. He tore his Achilles. So how well is their guard room going to hold up against the young guard room of the Spurs that is just able to go at full speed, young guys like Castle and Harper. You also have De'Aaron Fox, who is notoriously one of the fastest guards in the league. So, what the guard position matchup really looks like there, and then also the battle of the Eiffel Towers between Vic and Gobert. Like Gobert is had an amazing defensive performance against the Nuggets, kind of shut down Jokic, so to speak, and just was shut down the paint in general. So if he can have an impact on Wemby, that would be really, really important. That would really, really help the Timberwolves slightly shift it towards them, more like make it more even. But keep in mind that Wemby averaged 4 blocks in the series against the Trailblazers, and that might go up considering the fact that he's going to be playing against guards who aren't exactly top of the line. You're probably going to get Mike Conley minutes. You're probably going to get Terrence Shannon Jr. minutes. You're probably going to get Ayo Dosunmu minutes. Those are pretty good opportunities for blocks there for Wemby to really make an impact on the defensive end of the court. And then also on the offensive end of the court, I don't think that the Gobert is going to be able to keep up with Wemby there. And then on the East, wow, I don't even know where to start in the East. So 3 of these series are going to Game 7s. The the Pistons just forced a Game 7 tonight. Before I was recording this, I was kind of watching that. They just made the largest comeback. I think it was like 24-point deficit in the play-by-play era to force a Game 7 after they were down, 2-0? Absolutely insane stuff. Like, I don't know where to begin there. And then Cavaliers and Raptors are going to a Game 7. Scotty Barnes is kind of shutting down the Scotty Mobley debates right now. He clearly looks like the better player or better power forward from that draft. And then the 76ers forced a Game 7 against the Celtics. So the entire East is going to Game 7 except for the Knicks, who decided to put belt to ass against the Atlanta Hawks, dude. A 51-point victory. You heard that right. A 51-point victory in a playoff series. They were up like 40 points in the second quarter. I don't even know how to explain what I watched last night, but it was first-degree murder. Like, it was ridiculous. I'm sure I've seen the clips of Shaq trying to resuscitate the Atlanta Hawks stuffed animal. No. You need like elixir of life, fountain of youth type revival miracles for Knicks fans to ever recover from that. That is generational trauma there. But yeah. So we got the East is just wild, dude. You got 3 Game 7s and then a 51-point blowout in Game 6. It just doesn't make any sense to me in any capacity. So when I mentioned those Game 7s, I mentioned right now the Lakers and the Rockets are playing, duking it out right now. And then 2 of these Game 7s. Or, hold up. Game 7, Sixers, Boston, 7:30 tomorrow. 7:30 Eastern tomorrow. The winner of this game will be playing the New York Knicks in the next round. After that, you have, and that game will be on Tuesday, I believe. The winner of this series will be on Tuesday, if I'm not completely mistaken. And then Sunday, you got potentially 3 Game 7s, depending on what happens with Houston and LA. But you got the Raptors in Cleveland, TBD, still to be decided. You got Houston and the Lakers, potentially, depending on when that happens, if that game is needed. As it stands right now, it won't be needed because the Lakers are up. And then you have Orlando and Detroit at 3:30 Eastern. So for you, those of you on the East Coast, that is 12:30. And I have a wonderful weekend of basketball to look forward to. This is great, dude. Just chef's kiss. I love playoff basketball, dude. It brings me so much joy to watch the amount of entertainment that I get from this. But that was all the news that has happened in the world of sports. I know I kind of rapid fired through like a lot of the stuff, but it wasn't too much stuff that was like really required me to kind of like sit down, talk about it. No major moves. So, without further ado, let's get on to the main topic of the episode. Welcome to the main topic of the episode, where I'm going to be putting 28 of the world's top soccer players into a tier list, S through D. I didn't put an F tier just because I don't believe there is anyone deserving to be an F tier in this group of players. So we pulled, this is kind of just based off of what these players are doing right now during the season in various leagues. I've pulled from Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga, Serie A, and Ligue 1. So it's kind of just based off of what the players are doing right now, what they're doing in Champions League, what they're doing in their domestic league, what they've done in Champions League. I already said Champions League. What they've done with their national team, just a variety of different things, and it's also just completely vibes as well. I'm not bringing in any crazy outside stats, numbers, stuff like that. So let's get started. First name on the list is Bruno Fernandes. I feel like he's obviously United's playing really well right now under Michael Carrick. Last time I checked, they were undefeated under him. I can't remember if they're still undefeated under him off the top of my head, but I know they are. Well, I don't know, but I believe they're currently sitting third in the Premier League as it stands right now. And Bruno Fernandes is a big part of that. So obviously he's not S or A. I don't think he's that high up in terms of the rest of these guys. I think I might put him C, but I could very, very possibly change him. After that, we get to Hakimi. I don't know what to do with him. Obviously, he is the best outside back in the world. There's no debate about that in my mind. The stuff that he's able to do with PSG, with Morocco in the Champions League, in Ligue 1, World Cup, or last World Cup qualifiers now. He's amazing on all fronts. Just because he's at the top of his position, I'm leaning towards putting him higher than Bruno. But for that, I'll put him in B, but I don't know how comfortable I feel with that ranking right there. And then we get to Vitinha. He obviously teammates with Hakimi. He is arguably one of the best midfielders in the world right now. Um, hmm. I don't I don't know what to do with him. Because he obviously great player. I my initial leaning was putting him in A, but don't. I'll put him in A for now, but I feel like I might move him maybe down to B depending on what the rest of this looks like and really if there's something else that really moves me in any direction. And then we get to Michael Olise. For me, as of right now, that is the best player in the world. That he is better than Lamine Yamal. He's playing better than Mbappe. He's playing better than Vinny. He's playing better than anyone right now. The stuff that he's doing with Bayern in Champions League, domestic, in the why am I blanking on in the Bundesliga is absolutely insane. We all saw the stuff that he did against Real, that last goal, absolutely amazing. Just the quality of play that he is displaying right now is through the roof. He's going to be playing in his first World Cup this year, and honestly, I cannot wait to see his play and the stuff that he'll be able to do on the pitch because all indications right now is he's going to be the next guy at the top of the leaderboard. I don't know how France is doing it, but they just keep producing players at an extremely high level. And I think right now, Olise is he's the best player on that France team. And that's saying a lot considering they have Mbappe and Dembele, two other guys who are on this list. So amazing player right there. That's best player in the world for me by far. After that, we get to Vinny. I don't know. I feel like again, initial leaning was B tier just because I feel like he hasn't done anything too crazy this year in La Liga. Even in that Bayern Champions League round, I feel like he was kind of quiet. He didn't do all that much. When in the past we've seen him absolutely take over Champions League stages in the knockout rounds, we've seen him do some insane stuff. I feel like it was just kind of underwhelming that he didn't really do much of anything. And then even in La Liga, Real is kind of slipping right now. That's not a product of Vini himself, but I feel like he's not contributing as much as he was in previous seasons, like that season that he got second in the Ballon d'Or. So for that, I'll put him in B. I'll put him ahead of Hakimi. He's close to A, but I don't think his level of play is quite there yet this season. He could definitely go up with the World Cup coming if, again, the squads haven't been announced for the World Cup, but he could become the standard bearer for Brazil, kind of quote-unquote take the torch from Neymar, who's been in it for the past, I think, 4 tournaments. If he plays extremely well there, then he could definitely go up to A. But for now, we'll put him in B. And then Erling Haaland. It's interesting. I don't know what to do with him. Because I feel like he hasn't had the monster seasons like his first one with City. He hasn't exactly been doing all that outlandish stuff that we've kind of grown accustomed to him doing. So it's a weird spot to be in as of right now. I think I want to lead towards putting him in C tier, but also like that doesn't feel right to me putting Holland at C tier. But I don't feel like he deserves to be in B tier. He hasn't been producing at the level that we've kind of expected him to, which is very underwhelming because he's the new version of Ibra, and when you have a player like that, you expect him to put the ball in the back of the net, which he hasn't really been doing at a very high rate for me. So I'll put him C, but I'll put him, I don't know. I'll put him ahead of Bruno Fernandes for now, but I can't put him too high. After that, we'll go to Rafinha. Now, Rafinha's tricky just because he is been missing time with a hamstring strain, I believe. So he hasn't exactly played in the past couple games for Barca, either Champions or La Liga. So that is a major factor that contributes to his positioning. If he was healthy, he'd probably go in A, but he's not at 100%. I think that definitely higher than C. I don't think he's in C, which I'm kind of talking myself into B tier, but I'm gonna take him down and I'm gonna put him at the end of B tier for now. He might move down to C just because that injury is really weighing on me right now. Again, I think that he hasn't played in the past couple weeks. That includes that Champions League loss to Atletico Madrid. I feel like if he had played in that match, Barcelona had a very, very good chance of making that comeback. They lost 2-1, I believe it was, or 2-0. I believe they had a very, very real chance at potentially bouncing back from that and just capitalizing and being able to make it to the semifinal to face Arsenal instead of Atletico. And from there, they would have been in a much better position to win. After that, we get to Valverde. Interesting. So, I don't know what to do with him because he's extremely good, but he's not really flashy like any of these other players right on the board right now. He's a more subtle player, someone who kind of goes behind the scenes apart from when he scores absolute piss rockets. I think I'm leaning towards D tier, but that doesn't feel right to me. Just because I feel like there's maybe some other names on here that could potentially go there. I think there's probably a chance that he goes. I say C tier for now. I'll put him above Bruno. I'll put him behind Bruno for now. And then yeah, I don't know. I definitely have to revisit him because I'm definitely not sure what to do with him. So I might be overly hating on him. He might go higher. It just depends. Also, he's behind Bruno because I feel like he has a lot of help with the rest of his team. That Real team is stacked. Like, they've got a decent amount of players on this list, and like Mbappe, Bellingham, Arda Güler, Courtois on here. Like they have player Vinny. Like they have players, so I feel like that makes his job a lot easier compared to Bruno, who doesn't exactly have the mod stars playing with him. And then we get to Courtois. Thibaut Courtois, obviously best keeper in the world. I feel like I want to put him in B, kind of like Hakimi, best player in the world at their position, and it's not really too close. I guess second would be Donnarumma, but Courtois I feel like is just a level above. So for that, I'll put him, and I feel like Courtois. There's a more sizable gap between him and Hakimi, which is why I'll put Courtois above him. And then we get to Leo Messi, and I hate to do this, but he's in D tier. Um, he's not the guy he once was. He's not 93 goals in a calendar year. He's not 7 Ballon d'Ors. He's not that player anymore. Even though he will be captaining Argentina at his final World Cup this year, he's not. He's not at the level of these other players. He's in the MLS right now, and sure, you could argue that he's just playing in a Farmers League, that he could definitely be better. I don't think that he's better than these players right now. It's just that era has faded. Ronaldo's not even on this list. Spoiler, he's not here. I don't think that even though Ronaldo's putting up the goals, I don't think that he's deserving of that. I just have Messi on here kind of, I don't know. It just felt like I needed one of those two on here, and will always be a Messi fan over a Ronaldo fan. So I feel like Messi goes into D just because he's not at that caliber. He's not competing at the level that we're accustomed to, and also at close to the level of any of these other guys. Well, maybe this could change in the World Cup if he does some insane stuff again, but I don't think it will. And then we'll go Ousmane Dembele. Obviously, Ballon d'Or winner last year. Incredible player. I think he goes A, top of A tier, borderline S tier, but I don't think so this year. I think that there are probably some other guys who are obviously I think Olise is better than him. So there are definitely some things that lower him a bit, but not too far. So he's still amazing. He's still better than these other guys. I think for me, probably top. I don't know. I don't want to put a concrete number on that, but like top 4 winger in the world, top 5, right now. So obviously those other top guys are going to be up there right next to him in S and A. And then we get to Pedri. I think A tier. Pedri and Vitinha, for me right now, are top 2 midfielders in the world. I don't think it's that close either. I think that obviously Pedri second coming of Iniesta. I think that he's absolutely amazing, bar none. He is the guy that fuels both Barcelona and the Spanish national team more than Lamine Yamal. He is really the guy that makes everything work. That really, just makes everything work. Without him, I don't think that either Barcelona or Spain are able to play the way that they do. They don't, obviously, they do have the talent, but you need the player that is able to bring all of that together. And I think Pedri is the guy that is able to do that. I just don't think he's above Vitinha. I think that Vitinha is still slightly better, but that gap is maybe like a foot. It's stepping from like me to like my water bottle, which is literally within arm's reach. It's like right here. So they are very, very close to each other. After that, we get to Kylian Mbappe. Now, this is interesting. I don't necessarily know what to do with him. Obviously, he's an A tier. I don't think he's S this year. I think he's behind those three in A tier. I think that Olise has just separated himself clearly. Obviously, I told you I think he's the best player in the world. And he's best French player right now. And second behind him is Dembele. And then third is Mbappe. I don't think Mbappe is up there yet or anymore at this moment. It's just something just doesn't feel right to me right now. He doesn't really have that impact that we've grown accustomed to seeing. I was looking at something yesterday. It was like teenage kicks when France won the World Cup was in 2018. Yeah, that was in 2018. We're in 2026. It was 8 years ago. Mbappe's 27 now. He's no longer the 19-year-old. He's 27. He still hasn't won the Ballon d'Or. He still hasn't really made that impact that we all thought that he was going to. It kind of been a letdown, but also he is that incredible player, but it's not been to the level that we thought it was gonna be. It was kind of underwhelming, but it not horribly. Still, obviously, incredible player, not taken away from that at all, but it's not what I thought it was gonna be. And as of right now, he's not. I think that he's not as important to his club's team and his national team as these other guys are. I think, obviously, I talked about Pedri and his impact with Barcelona and Spain. Vitinha, I think, is more important to PSG and Portugal as that midfielder role like Pedri than Mbappe is. And then I just think Olise and Dembele are better players right now. Call me crazy for that. I don't care. I just believe they're better players right now. Watching them has also shown that to me. Like, Olise has been stepping up on the biggest stages, and Mbappe has kind of been faltering. So I can't put him that high. And then we get to Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane is he's good, obviously. Best pure striker in the world for me still, even that at this age. The stuff that he's doing at Bayern is incredible. I think I want to put top of B tier because I don't think he's at the level of these top guys anymore. But he's also, like I said, top of his position. Hakimi, Courtois, Harry Kane kind of fits that mold. But he's just been doing it for so long, so consistently, but he's also just able to elevate and carry something that I didn't know that he still had in the tank. The stuff that he's been doing with Bayern is absolutely insane. They're in the semifinals. I haven't mentioned this, but the absolute shootout with PSG. I know I mentioned earlier in the episode. I haven't mentioned it in this tier list at all as any factor, but that was insane play. Bayern has just been playing amazingly. They have already won the Bundesliga too, so that's sealed. I think Harry Kane is just an incredible striker, hands down best striker in the world. And then we get to Lamine Yamal. This is an interesting conversation, fiery conversation that I had with one of my friends the other day. He asked me who I thought was the better player, and I said Olise, and they're like, "Are you nuts?" I'm like, "Not really. If you've been watching, like, Olise has been doing a lot more, and I feel like Lamine Yamal he's still an S tier. He's still amazing to me. But I don't believe that he's at the level of Michael Olise right now. I think Olise is, I don't want to say leaps and bounds and miles ahead of him, but is clearly ahead of him. He's done more statistically this season. He's contributed more to winning this season. And I feel like Lamine Yamal kind of had an underwhelming season. He finished, after his second place finish in the Ballon d'Or last year to Dembélé, kind of been lacking the impact that I thought he would have with Barcelona, which is kind of weird to say because last year you asked me, I barely knew Olise, so might be a bit of a glazer, but I think Olise, like just watching a boatload of soccer this year, Champions League, domestic leagues, Olise has just stuck out more to me, and Yamal has not had the impact that I've wanted him to have for Barcelona, for Spain. Now he's also dealing with that injury as well. I saw a report that he might sit out the first two group stage games for Spain and then come back later against Uruguay. So that also has a potential impact, kind of like Rafinha. But I feel like Yamal is a better player than Rafinha, which is why he remains in S tier. And then we get to Kvaratskhelia, Kvaratskhelia. I think he's better than Lamine Yamal right now. Hot take. I think Kvaratskhelia is better than Lamine Yamal. The stuff that he's doing with PSG, the stuff that he's done with PSG is just insane. It's something that I remember watching him at Napoli. My dad and I joked. We're like, oh yeah, there's this Georgian guy that we can't pronounce his name to save our lives, but he's an absolute baller. And when he moved to PSG, I'm like, okay, I see that. And then he just won everything. Napoli, he won 2 domestic leagues in one season, which is insane. Napoli won the league, and then PSG won Liga, and he won the Champions League that year. This year, he already has 10 goals in the Champions League, which is, he's tied with Ibra's record, probably going to break it, in all honesty, for most goals by a PSG player in the Champions League. I just think that he's more impactful than Yamal this season. The stuff that he's been able to do with PSG, for me, stands out a lot more. It sucks that we probably will never see him in the World Cup just because he plays for Georgia. But the stuff that he's able to do at the club level, Champions League, he already has one. He already has domestic titles. He already has a Liga 1 and a Serie A title. Probably going to win another Liga 1 this year. Could potentially also win back-to-back Champions League titles, depending on how the second leg with Bayern goes. Like, this dude is just insane. The quality is wild as well. Like, there's no getting around it. He has a phenomenal play style, phenomenal touch, phenomenal shot, phenomenal playmaking creation as well. I think that it just elevates him higher than Lamine Yamal right now, who, like I said, hasn't stuck out too much for me, which kind of sucks. And then we go to Jude Bellingham. I mentioned that Valverde had a lot of teammates on this list. Jude Bellingham is also on this list. So kind of like Valverde, I feel like Bellingham has had kind of a quiet season. I feel like the C tier is kind of just like the quiet season tier. You haven't really stuck out to me all that much. I know you're making an impact, but it's not the impact that we were accustomed to in previous seasons, so to speak. Something that has you haven't. I don't want to say you haven't surprised us, but you haven't done what we've grown to expect of you. So Bellingham hasn't really stuck out for me when I've watched Real Madrid. That's been more Arda Güler, and I'll place Arda Güler. I'll place him top of C tier, borderline B tier. The stuff that he's been able to do, I have the entire Real midfield in C tier, but I feel like Arda Güler has been the best of the bunch. Like, the stuff that we've seen him do compared to these other guys, I'm sure at this point, most of you guys have seen what happened with Real after that Champions League loss to Bayern, that Florentino Perez sent Arda Güler home, told him, you don't need to hear that, because Arda Güler was the only guy that showed up in that second leg against Bayern. Those 2 goals, the free kick and then that long-range goal, he was the only one that showed up. And when you show up in big-time matches like that, that means something to me. Also, in La Liga, I feel like he's just been the more consistent guy, someone who's just performed at a level that has stayed kind of constant like that instead of going like that, which I feel like some of these other guys have done, or even just he's here at this consistent level. The other guys are like slightly below him like this. So even with the fluctuations, they're still fluctuating together, but Arda Güler is just still higher than them. So for that, I'll put him top of C tier. And then we get to Julian Alvarez. I am a huge Julian Alvarez fan, but I don't believe he's at the level of these other guys. I think I'll put him D tier. I'll put him above Messi just because the stuff that he's done in the Champions League this season, he's scored some incredible goals. Even in La Liga, he's played very well for Atletico Madrid. He's performed at the level that I hoped he would play for when he was at City, but again, City has an insane roster, so he was never really going to get a chance. So I think that him being able to put his talents on full display with Atletico is something that's very nice to see. I think he is extremely talented, obviously. He is, for me, the heir apparent to Messi with Argentina. I think that he's going to be the guy over other Argentinian players like Lautaro. I know originally it was supposed to be Dybala who was supposed to inherit the team, but sadly that never worked out. Breaks my heart because Dybala is my pride and joy. He will forever be one of my favorite players ever. But I feel like Julian Alvarez is not quite at the level of these C tier guys just yet, but I definitely feel like he could elevate to that level. I feel like he could maybe next season, maybe he erupts in the second leg of the Champions League. If that happens, then I could see him going up to C tier. But as of right now, I can't put him there just yet. And then we get to Virgil van Dijk. I don't know what I want to do with him. It's an interesting spot. Again, kind of leaning towards C tier because C tier has just turned into the tier of you're the best at your position, but you're not best in the world. So clearly you're good. There's no debate about that. Clearly you're top of the line, but I don't think that you're in that A tier. I don't know. I don't know where to place Van Dijk. I feel like B tier feels like a stretch for him, but also C tier doesn't feel right either. I don't know. It's weird. Definitely. I don't know. I'll revisit him. He doesn't feel right. And then we get to Bukayo Saka. I'll put him. I'm thinking B or C. I don't know. Bukayo Saka. You are putting me in a predicament. I think Bukayo Saka I'll put in C tier behind Arda Güler. This is also some bias towards Arda Güler, but I feel like kind of had a quiet season. Nothing too crazy has happened on his part, so to speak. So I feel like putting him at C feels justified. Again, he could erupt. He needs to erupt to help Arsenal win the Champions League because, again, they are throwing it away like they have done forever. So if Bukayo Saka helps Arsenal clutch up the Premier League or heck, even the Champions League because they're playing the second leg at Emirates. So if he does something amazing, he is definitely moving up to B tier. But for now, I'll put him at C. And then Szoboszlai, I'll put him at back of C tier. He's amazing, but I feel like those free kicks are swaying me a lot more than they should. I think that those free kicks are definitely swaying me a lot more than they should, but he is the hub of Liverpool's midfield. So I'll leave him there for now. But you are on D tier watch. You are definitely on D tier watch. And then Jamal Musiala. This was last year pre-injury. He'd be A tier. He's amazing, dude. I love him. But the injury has set him back a bit. He hasn't quite come back all the way 100% of what he used to be, which kind of docks some points for me. But I feel like he's still better than Vinny, so I'll put him in B this is all. This is not probably. This is definitely 100% personal bias here because I love to watch him play. I think he's spectacular, but I can't put him higher than that. If anything, he might go a bit lower depending on what my revisions are and kind of like where I'm leaning with this. Let me get to Mo Salah. Right. Mo Salah, you go in back of C, and then Soboslai, you go D tier. Yeah. Yeah, that feels right. I feel like Mo Salah, in terms of Liverpool players, that also feels right. In terms of impact on the team, you have Van Dijk, you have Mo Salah, then you have Soboslai. So that in itself feels right. But then also putting him in the back of C, I don't think he's at this age. I don't think he's better than any of these other players in that tier. If it was prime Mo Salah, bro, he would have been in like A tier. But I don't think he's that guy anymore. It is also his last season with Liverpool, so he is leaving, which does impact some stuff. And then we get to Lewandowski. It feels right to put him right next to Harry Kane, just because those two will forever sit at the top of the striker rankings for me until they retire, which at this point, I have no idea when that's going to happen. They're both cyborgs who seemingly can score goals for the rest of their lives. So those two will just sit next to each other for as long as they live. I don't know. I can't really parse them in any way. There's no really defining thing for me that sets them apart. We get Declan Rice. Put him in D tier. I think very similar to Soboslai, very impactful for his team. But I feel like, first of all, Bukayo Saka is more important. So there's that tier list right there. But I feel like he's kind of like Jude Bellingham light. It feels wrong to say that, but it also feels right to say that. I don't think that he's at the level of those other guys in the tier above him. I think that those guys are clearly better, which is why he goes in D tier. And then Lautaro, I'll go back of D tier. I don't think Lautaro is. I don't think he's that guy. I don't. I know he's led Inter to 2 Champions League finals. I know he won the World Cup, barring you. He didn't even start on that World Cup team. Julian Alvarez started ahead of him. That is why Julian Alvarez is ahead of him on this tier list. But apart from that, apart from my hatred of him, because I am a Juventus fan, he plays for Inter, putting all that aside, I think that just plain and simple, he's the worst player on this tier list. There's no getting around that. He's on here just because he is one of the top players in Serie A. There's no getting around that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Who else are you going to take? Juventus. Maybe you throw in Yildiz in here, but he's also he would probably also be D tier. And then Milan, I feel like they don't really have that one guy that really stands out. Como, like Nico Paz, but I feel like Lautaro's probably the best out of the Serie A guys, apart from McTominay, which I'll put him in. I feel like McTominay. I feel like he goes right there. I put McTominay in here because he is the season that he had last year in Serie A was amazing, dude. Best player in Serie A by far, bar none. He helped Napoli win the Serie A title. Did some incredible stuff, but I don't think that he's, again, kind of like Lautaro. I don't think he's better than any of these other guys that are just, again, a clear level above what he is capable of doing. So now I'm sitting here, right? Sitting at my desk where I'm always recording. I'm looking at this tier list, right? And, Virgil van Dijk sticks out to me. I don't like him at B tier. It doesn't feel right to have him there. I feel like I might move him down. Put him at C. I'm also looking at Arda Güler. I feel like I might group him with the other Real midfielders. What else? I might move Musiala. Nah, I'll keep Musiala there. Top 3 are fine to me. That's never gonna change. Bottom list, I feel like is also pretty solid. Top 7, okay. It's this middle group right here that's kind of throwing me for a loop. Where should I put? I don't know. Courtois is kind of throwing me for a loop, but when you just look at his position, he is the best. It's not a debate. It's not close. So he's going to stay in B. I feel Bukayo Saka at the top of C is also just throwing me off right now. But I already moved him back. I moved Van Dijk down. I don't know. Something just doesn't feel right. But I can't place my finger on it. Oh, I don't think there are any other changes that I'm gonna make here. I think that this is what my tier list is gonna be. So in S tier, we got Michael Olise, Kvaratskhelia, Lamine Yamal. A tier, we got Dembele, Vitinha, Pedri, and Mbappe. B tier, we got Harry Kane, Lewandowski, Musiala, Vini, Courtois, Hakimi, and Rafinha. C tier, we got Saka, Van Dijk, Haaland, Bruno Fernandes, Arda Güler, Valverde, Bellingham, and Mo Salah. And then D tier, we got Julian Alvarez, Declan Rice, McTominay, Szoboszlai, Messi, and Lautaro. That is my tier list of the 28 best players in the world. As of right now, keeping in mind this is before we go in the World Cup, things could very, very much change. I feel like Rafinha could go up. Lamine Yamal could go ahead of Kvaratskhelia, depending on his performance during the World Cup, because, again, Kvaratskhelia is not playing in it. I think that any of those guys in A tier could make the leap to S tier. Mbappe, if he has another World Cup performance like he has in the past 2, could definitely go back up to S tier. Any of those guys in B tier as well could jump up. I feel like Musiala definitely has the most potential to make a leap there, but just because he hasn't really had too much, and the World Cup could really give him a true stage to make that leap. And then I feel like Bukayo Saka could maybe make a leap if England does well, but I feel like that'll also be accredited to Harry Kane. Maybe Julian Alvarez takes a step forward in this Champions League or World Cup to come. Maybe Declan Rice as well, but again, I feel like if England does well, that'll probably go to Saka, probably Kane as well. So yeah, that is my tier list. If you have any gripes or complaints, tell me about it. I'll debate that with you. I'll talk soccer with you all day, bro. I could talk for hours. I can watch it for hours. So if you have any complaints, dude, leave a comment. Say something. So without further ado, let's get into game time. Welcome to game time. Pardon the cough. As I mentioned, I don't know what happens. It goes on every night, but we're going to try and get through all 124 American teams. 49ers, Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks, Raiders, Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Browns, Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Titans, Texans, Jaguars, Colts, Jets, Bills, Patriots, Dolphins, Vikings, Bears, Packers, Lions, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, and Buccaneers. And then who am I missing here? Oh, Eagles, Giants, Commanders, and Cowboys. Warriors, Lakers, Clippers, Suns, Kings, Trailblazers, Mavericks, Pelicans, Spurs, Rockets, Grizzlies, Thunder, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Jazz, Wizards, Heat, Hawks, Magic, Hornets, Bulls, Pacers, Bucks, Pistons, Cavaliers, Raptors, who am I missing here? Oh, Celtics, 76ers, Knicks, Nets. I already said the Giants, Yankees, Dodgers, Padres, Mets, Red Sox, Red Sox, White Sox, Cubs, Tigers, Royals, Astros, Orioles, Pirates, Marlins, Sharks, Golden Knights, Canucks, Lightning, Canadians, Oilers. Who else? Dallas Stars, Avalanche, Bruins, Capitals. Who else am I missing here? As you can tell, I'm not as versed in hockey and baseball as I would like to be. Who else are these other teams? Dude, I really don't know. Oh, Predators, Sabres, Wild. Who else? I am missing 30. 30 teams here. Vegas Golden Knights, LA Kings. Who else am I missing here? I don't know. Blackhawks? Oh, they're still a team. The Braves. Guardians, or whatever the heck they call themselves. Now, did I say the Yankees? Yeah, I did. Yankees, Phillies, Flyers. Who else? See if I can get to 100. Maybe narrow it down to missing only 20. That would be amazing. Who else? Oh, the Twins, and the Rockies. Vegas doesn't have a baseball team. Diamondbacks in Arizona. I don't think Washington. No, Washington doesn't have a baseball team. Move it down. New Orleans, they don't have a baseball team, do they? I don't think so. Tampa, Florida teams. Tampa has the Lightning. Tampa Bay, the Rays. And then the Brewers. The Brewers. The Brewers. I said the Cubs. Said the White Sox. Detroit Tigers, right? I said that. Yeah, I said that. Detroit. Does Detroit have a hockey team? Who are these other teams that I'm who are these hockey teams that I'm missing? That is what I would really like to know here. I am not sure. But Atlanta. I don't know who these teams are. At all, dude. Panthers, Florida Panthers. I already said that, right? Yeah. All right. I don't know who these other teams are. The Ducks. Oh, the Reds, obviously. All right. Now we are going to tier list the last 10 NBA champions. Starting with the 2024 Boston Celtics. I'm going to put them in A tier. Very, very good team. But not quite top of the line yet, in my opinion. Nuggets, I'll put them in C. Then the 2019 Raptors are also put in C. I don't think those teams were amazing. And then 2025 Thunder, I'll put them in A. And then 2022 Warriors go D. I don't think they were that good. Bubble Lakers also go in D. They weren't great. And then 18 Warriors, 17 Warriors are S tier. Those are the greatest teams of all time. Bucks, I'll put them in B. And then I'll put the Cavs in D. Yeah, that feels right. Yeah, that feels accurate to me. Not bad. I feel like I haven't really done a tier list in game time, but low-key, that was not bad. I think I might add more of these. Then we'll stick with the NBA. Play some Podal. Start it off how I normally start it. We'll guess Steph Curry first. And he's just an old guy. We'll go Embiid. Even though the number's not closed, he's a who could this be? We'll go Paolo. So he's a center. A small center? Question mark? It's not Paolo, so that leaves them. It can't be Jalen Duren. Who else is in that division? I don't think it's Zubac. He is a center. That's a small center, dude. He's like 28. Huh. Not Indiana. It's not Giannis, obviously not. Who could this be? Do we think this is beef stew? So he's a 6'9" center is throwing me for a loop right now. Not Detroit. The Raptors. Could this be? Wait, no. The Raptors are not in that division. That division is Pacers, Detroit, Bulls, Bucks, and Cavaliers. don't think this is the Cavs because both of their centers are taller than 6'9". The Bulls. I don't even know who the Bulls run at center. We'll just eliminate these other teams here. It's not Detroit, not Indy. I just wasted a guess. Oh, fudge. Right. I completely just wasted my guess there. So it's not Detroit, it's not Indy. Milwaukee. Dude, there's no way it's Giannis. Yep, not Giannis. Yeah. And that gave it away. Wonderful. Jared Allen. What? That is why I don't use the picture, because I instantly knew it was Jared Allen, which is kind of a letdown, but you know. Right. So, surprise, surprise, this is the Raiders. Wow. Such a tough guess when you have Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers. Wow. Such a weird guess. Let's get some actual Wordle. A.J. Brown. Not in the NFC East. Not a receiver, we'll guess. Who do we want to give? We'll guess. Guess Jonathan Taylor. Oh, nice. He's on the Colts. Not a receiver. We'll guess Anthony Richardson. I actually just guessed Anthony Richardson correctly. That is a miracle. Wait, I'm confused. Is this not Anthony Richardson? Wait. So this is Richardson? I'm confused here. What is happening? Yeah, no, this is Richardson. All right. Cool. We got that. Now let's build a lineup. Let's look at these options here. Right. Interesting. Huh. I had a total of $2 left. So we're not going to do that. I actually like Zay Flowers there. Then we can get Herbert, Woody Marks, and Hunter Henry. I like that lineup. Baker, Scat. Not bad. That lineup is just the one that works for me the best. Now we get into the regular deal. Y'all know what's up. Trying to build an 82-0 team. Trying to beat those 17-18 Warriors, the ones that I ranked in S tier earlier. We started off with the Lakers. Point guard Luka Doncic. Off to a wonderful start here. After that, who else do we get? Please be good. Oh, stay on the Timberwolves. That is disgusting right now. Luka Doncic and Anthony Edwards. That is absolutely filthy. Let's see if we can keep. Oh my gosh. Right. So. I think I'm building the greatest team of all time right now. Knock on wood. Okay. The Houston Rockets. So this is insane. I don't have any defense, but I just might have built the greatest team of all time. And I do honestly think they're going 82-0. Jokic, Luka, and KD, LeBron, and Jokic. I think I might have just set the new bar for building an 82-0 team. Because what in the world did I just create? Wow, I didn't think that was possible. Right. That's insane. So, yeah. We'll go to Hoopco. We'll play some blind tier list. I'm gonna go Markel Fultz 4. John Wall tier 3. I have a feeling this is number 1 overall picks. I don't know what this tier list is. What was this category? What is this category? It was number 1 overall picks. Right. Maybe swap AI and Kyrie. Probably move Yao Ming, replace John Wall with Yao Ming. But other than that, I think it's fine. That's a good job right there. After that, we'll go all-time best handles. We'll go Jason Kidd 3, Brandon Roy 4, Kemba. I like Kemba's handle. Tim Hardaway. Kyrie, number 1. Crawford, 2. Nick Van Exel, you go there. John Morant, you go there. And Mark Price, Reggie Miller, Dame, Chris Mullin, I'm sorry, Larry Legend, Mike Miller, Kyle Korver, who's my last keep, Richard Hamilton, right. Probably should have kept Korver? Nah, probably should have kept Price or Mullin. Yeah. Oh well. We'll do a start bench cut. Right now, Asar, Castle, Amen. Just because Asar DPOY, absolute demon. And this, I think, goes chalk. And then, ooh, interesting. This is going to be my last start bench cut, but I don't know what to do here. Chuck, KG, and Karl Malone. Huh. I think. Yeah. We'll go like that. And then we're building our soccer team here. Trying to win six-tuple. We're going all-time players. We start off with Roma. It's been a couple times in a row now that we've gotten them. We're staying with the same player here. We're staying Totti. After that, who else do we get? Please be someone good. Napoli. Maradona. Okay. Very good start here. Very, very good. After that, keep feeding us. Please go to white. There we go. Thank you. Interesting. We'll go Buffon in goal. Can't complain with the greatest goalie of all time. After that, who else do we get? PSG. No brainer. Mbappe. Even though he sadly has not won a Ballon d'Or yet. It went from teenage kicks in the World Cup final to now he's struggling. Hate to see it. Napoli again. What do I want to do here? Right now, this is kind of blasphemous, but we'll go Scotty McTominay. Had an absolute amazing season last year. And he is also currently the only Napoli player that is coming to mind. After that, Arsenal, we will... I have a couple options here. What do I want to do? Right. I think Vieira, just to wrap up the midfield, I guess. Not a huge fan, but Henry was kind of out of position. And, right. Ajax. Wonderful. Well, on the bright side, I have options here. But none of the attacking ones really make sense at the moment. In the back, why am I blanking on players? I guess. We'll go Delict. I have not spelled his name right. I apologize for that. After that, please. Okay. Atletico Madrid. We'll go Llorente, I guess. That's the only name that's really coming to mind right now. Who else? Please. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will take that. The greatest defender of all time. After that, Please, 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 please. You've got to be kidding me. Dortmund. Dortmund. Yeah, we'll save. We'll save right wing for a special someone that hopefully blesses my team. Please. Yeah, that's not happening. Wonderful. Okay. So I didn't get what I wanted, which would be Leo Messi, but we got Johnny Rep, apparently, which isn't exactly the greatest thing in the world. Not exactly a confidence booster here. So started off very well. Started off with Totti, Maradona, and Mbappe. And then things kind of went downhill from there. So I don't know. I don't feel great about this team. Hopefully things go better next time. After that, we will build a quarterback. Hopefully. A quarterback that can take us all the way. And Anthony Richardson's arm is an absolute bazooka. He can launch it, so that is a very good start. Has not been traded, so here's to that. Lamar Jackson will take him as well. After that, who else do we get? Please bless us with somebody good. Detroit Lions. Right. I feel like Jared Goff is pretty accurate. So we'll take Jared Goff. After that, please, 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 please give us something else. Oh, get to the Rams, please. No. Right. So I either have the IQ or the body of 9 or Kyler Murray. Right. I guess we'll go the body of Kyler and just build Kyler with an accurate Kyler with an absolute bazooka. Please make him smart at least. No, I can't do repeat teams. That doesn't make sense. Please make him smart. Not the smartest guy in the world. Right. So this is just Kyler Murray with a bazooka as an arm, pretty much. And I don't love that. No pun intended. Or very much pun intended. Who knows? Yeah, but I'm not a huge fan of this. At all. Finally, well, not finally. We are gonna do a foot draft. We'll go FIFA 21 formation here. We'll go 4-3-2-1, and we'll start off. Oh my goodness, we'll start off with 99 Messi. After that, of course, they have to nerf us. Take this Argentinian guy, give us some chemistry, and we'll take this La Liga guy, and then we'll take Raul. We'll take Balak as well. And I'll take Gerard. I don't understand why that loses chemistry. But we'll go Traore. Gives us even more chemistry. Chiellini. Keep feeding us, dude. Keep feeding us. Right. We'll go Maguire. Move that around. Maybe get a bit more chemistry. I guess that works. If I know that lowers my chemistry. And we'll go Van der Sar just for the chemistry. Tevez. That doesn't jump our rating at all for some wild reason I can't understand. We'll go Kante. And then him, I guess. I don't really have a spot for him right now. Just because he would tank my chemistry. Right. If I take Rio Ferdinand and dump him in there, my chemistry goes up. Marquinhos as well. But my midfield wouldn't link to a soul. Right. We'll take that guy, I guess. And him. Okay. Take De Vrij. Please. We'll take him as our second goalie. And him. Right. So, I have a bum sitting at my wing that just tanks all chemistry. And then I have 295 sitting on the bench that also tank all chemistry. So, we have some major issues here. Trying to see if there's anything I can do. There's not. So, we finished with a 190 with some insane players on the bench. Unfortunately. Let's see if I can maybe adjust this, get my rating even higher. Nope. Right. 190, not bad at all, though. I won't complain about that. Very good team. And this is where we wrap it up. We will build our NFL team. You know the deal. Quarterback, running back, tight end, 2 receivers, coach, O-line. Start off with the Cowboys. We'll take Pickens as our second wide receiver. After that, who else do we get? Please be somebody good. Oh, I won't complain about either of these options. We'll take Josh Allen. And then, who else do we get? Please be good. I will take that. I will take Jamar Chase. That is a nasty quarterback receiver combo right there. Josh Allen going to Jamar Chase and George Pickens. The Jets. The Jets O-line is not bad at all, honestly. I'm not going to complain about that too much, considering what my other options were. Panthers. Huh. Interesting. Because I don't want to take the running back or their tight end or their defense. If I do take a defensive player, I could take J.C. Horn. I feel like taking Taylor Phillips might be a reach. I could also take their coach. I'm gonna take Canales just because I feel like all the top defenses already have like a lockdown guy. So if I take Horn, that wouldn't really help me in any way. Now the Eagles. Saquon or the Eagles defense? Screw it. We are building the Monstars on offense. Who cares about defense? After that, please. Bears. Right. Who is their tight end? And why am I blanking on his name? I can picture him extremely vividly in my mind, in a Bears uniform and a Michigan uniform right now. Colston Loveland. So we're building the Monstars on offense, and now I just need a good defense. Please give me somebody. Anybody. Chiefs defense wasn't exactly great, so we'll take Chris Jones. And now, moment of truth. Is this the Bengals, or is this defense actually good? Lions defense. Not horrible. Probably should have gone with the benefit of hindsight. Probably should have got Eagles defense. And then I could have added Kenneth Walker and added Hutch to the Eagles defense, or I could have had Gibbs and added Chris Jones to that Eagles defense. Who knows? A lot of different ways I could have gone with that. But we have the Monstars on offense and then a very mediocre defense. Lions defense with Chris Jones? Yeah, that's pretty mediocre. But, yeah, that is the end of game time. So, let's get to wrapping up the show. I don't really have any previews. If you notice, I didn't do any previews at the end of last episode either, just because the only thing that was really happening is playoff basketball right now that I'm talking about. There's also baseball that is happening. I'm not a huge fan of that. If you haven't noticed, I don't cover it too much. And there's also NHL Stanley Cup playoffs happening right now. I might dive in a bit into that. Next episode, I just have to do a bit more research into it because I haven't looked too deep into it. But I've talked about the NBA playoffs and the matchups that are going to happen in the semis. So, yeah, that is pretty much it. I had a fun time recording this. Threw in some curveballs, kind of did my own thing during game time. Had some fun with that main topic too as well. Really enjoyed that. News also, not too much happened, but stuff that did happen was relatively interesting. So I had a good time during this episode. I had a good time recording, talking, and just vibing out in general. So yeah. With that said, I am clocking off. I will catch y'all next week for the next episode. Peace.